Good morning, I'm Kenneth Moton.
And I'm Janae Norman. Here are the top 5 things to know this Thursday. Number 1, new tensions between the U.S. and Iran.
Iran has shot down a U.S. Navy drone, calling it a clear message to America. The U.S. says it was shot down in international airspace, but Iran's Revolutionary Guard claims the drone had entered Iranian territory and says it is, quote, ready for war if necessary.
Tensions between the two countries have been rising since recent attacks on oil tankers in the region. Number 2, a Syrian refugee is under arrest in Pittsburgh, charged with plotting to attack a local church.
Prosecutors say the ISIS-inspired plot included an explosive device strong enough to destroy the church and likely kill many people in the surrounding area. FBI agents searched the suspect's apartment yesterday.
21-year-old Mustafa Massoud Al-Omer came to the U.S. from Syria in 2016. The suspect allegedly spoke to an undercover FBI employee about the plot.
On to number 3, a police officer killed in the line of duty in Sacramento, California.
She was shot while responding to a domestic call. Officer Tara O'Sullivan joined the force just last year. The suspect then got into a shootout with police.
We head to the campaign trail for number 4. Joe Biden is not apologizing.
He declared there's not a racist bone in his body while responding to the backlash over his remarks about working with segregationist senators and getting things done with civility.
Biden fired back after fellow Democrat Senator Cory Booker called on him to apologize, saying Booker should apologize.
And finally, number 5, 8 years after the end of her daytime talk show, she's not ruling out a reboot.
That she? Oprah, who tells Entertainment Tonight that she would love to make that happen, but maybe not every day. She said the only time she's missed having a show has been during the election or when something big happens in the news.
And this would be really big if Oprah came back. Let's get to that breaking news overnight. A U.S. official has confirmed that Iran has shot down a U.S. Navy drone, escalating the already heightened tensions between the two countries.
It happened early this morning, just days after the U.S. announced plans to send 1,000 more troops to the region. ABC's Stephanie Ramos is monitoring the situation from the London Bureau. Stephanie, good morning.
Kenneth and Janae, good morning. That's right. We are learning that Iran shot down an unarmed U.S. Navy drone as it was flying over the Strait of Hormuz in international airspace. This is a direct attack on a U.S. military asset, and Iran is not denying that they are responsible. Iran's Revolutionary Guard commander says while Iran has no intention of war with anyone, it is ready for war, and that the shooting down of that U.S. drone sends a clear message to America. Now, the commander has also said this morning that, quote, our borders are our red line. Any enemy that violates them will not return and will be destroyed. So Iran is saying this happened over their territory, but we, of course, will be watching to see where the Pentagon says this actually happened.
Stephanie, this is not the first time Iran has targeted a drone. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. It was just about a week ago when Iran tried to shoot down a reconnaissance drone that was surveilling the attack on one of the 2 tankers in the Gulf of Oman. The United States has blamed Iran for being responsible for the attacks on those 2 tankers, but Iran has denied that claim. So with this latest incident, the question remains, how will the Trump administration respond to this? Kenneth, Janae.
Our thanks to Stephanie Ramos for joining us this morning from the London Bureau. Now to the other big story this morning. Former Vice President Joe Biden is refusing to apologize.
He's facing backlash over his remarks about working well with senators who were segregationist. Biden is defending his comments, saying he doesn't have a racist bone in his body, and he's firing back at fellow Democrat Senator Cory Booker for calling him out.
ABC's Mona Kosar Abdi has the details from Washington. Mona, good morning.
Good morning, Janae, and good morning to you, Kenneth. Biden's comments about the hyper-bipartisanship on Capitol Hill these days seem to backfire, sparking criticism. But some of his longtime colleagues in Washington are coming to his defense, saying that his comments were taken out of context.
This morning, former Vice President Joe Biden not apologizing for his remarks about his early days in the Senate. At a New York fundraiser Tuesday, Biden recalled a time when Congress was able to get things done with, quote, civility, even when it meant finding common ground with segregationist senators.
I disagreed with the views of the segregationists. The point I'm making is you don't have to agree.
Biden's words falling flat and receiving sharp rebukes from his 2020 Democratic rivals.
But to coddle the reputations of segregationists, of people who, if they had their way, I would literally not be standing here as a member of the United States Senate, is, I think, it's misinformed and it's wrong.
Senator Kamala Harris's comments followed by Senator Cory Booker's call on CNN for Biden to apologize.
And I'm simply saying that for him not to acknowledge how many people are taking this as hurtful.
Biden then responding by defending his record.
Apologize for what?
Cory Booker's called for it.
Cory should apologize. He knows better. There's not a racist bone in my body. I've been involved in civil rights my whole career. Period.
More than half a dozen members of the Congressional Black Caucus also coming to Biden's defense, including House Minority Whip Jim Clyburn, the highest-ranking African-American in Congress, who said in an interview with Politico, quote, "I worked with Strom Thurmond all my life. You don't have to agree with people to work with them."
And of course, Janae and Kenneth, all of this is coming ahead of the first Democratic primary debate that will be in Miami next week.
All right, Mona, thank you for joining us this morning.
Well, some other headlines we're watching. A Senate committee has reached a rare bipartisan agreement approving $4.6 billion to address the situation at the southern border.
Some of the money will go toward the care of migrant children, but the bill contains restrictions, including blocking the use of funds for additional detention beds and the wall. The full Senate is expected to pass it this week, but House Democrats have been working on their own version.
Former White House Communications Director Hope Hicks has refused to answer any questions about her time with the Trump administration. Hicks testified at a closed-door House Judiciary hearing, but a White House lawyer repeatedly barred certain answers, claiming she has immunity. Democrats looking into possible obstruction of justice by President Trump say they'll take the administration to court. Well, a train carrying military munitions derailed in northeastern Nevada near the Utah state line. Union Pacific says 23 cars jumped the tracks, but those derailed cars were not among those carrying explosives. The Nevada Highway Patrol says a small amount of fuel spilled along with some white aluminum oxide, which is not considered a hazardous material.
Commissioners in the Florida city of Riviera Beach have decided to pay about $600,000 in ransom to hackers who have paralyzed city computers. They called a special city council meeting where they agreed to pay that ransom in Bitcoin to get their stolen data back. The hackers got into the city system when an employee clicked on an email link that allowed them to upload malware.
A growing number of congressional lawmakers and their staff members are receiving briefings about reported encounters with unidentified aircraft.
Interest has grown over the last year and a half since it was revealed that the Pentagon had been studying the issue. President Trump told ABC's George Stephanopoulos that he has been briefed on the matter. The president said he doesn't particularly believe in UFOs.
Well, coming up, the minor league baseball team causing a stir with their jerseys.
Get a look at the dad bod design when we come back. Welcome back now to the fast-moving investigation into the David Ortiz shooting. Prosecutors say the alleged assassin shot Ortiz by mistake. Police are now revealing who the intended target was and why some of the suspects are wanted by authorities here in the U.S. This morning, a bombshell from prosecutors in the shooting that nearly killed baseball legend David Ortiz. Authorities in the Dominican Republic now say he was not the intended target. Surveillance video shows the moment a gunman walked up to Ortiz and shot him in the back. Investigators say the real target was Ortiz's friend, who reserves the same table every Sunday and happened to be sharing it with Ortiz that night, each wearing shirts and light-colored pants that could appear similar from a distance. 11 people are under arrest in connection with the shooting, including the alleged triggerman, Rolfi Fiera Cruz, who's wanted for armed robberies in New Jersey. Another suspect in custody is wanted for attempted homicide in Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, 3 other suspects are on the run, including the alleged mastermind, Victor Hugo Gomez, whose last known location was in the U.S. He's wanted for his alleged role with the Gulf drug cartel in Houston. As for a motive for the shooting that night, investigators say Gomez was seeking revenge against the intended target, a relative who, quote, ratted him out years ago to police. Authorities say the hitmen hired to carry out the attack for $7,800 still demanded their share of the money. As for Ortiz, he was recently upgraded to good condition.
So let's take a break from the news and check our notifications, starting with some clouds that look a lot like waves. Whoa. Experts say it's a rare phenomenon. They form between 2 layers of air. The top is warmer and moving faster. Something like a phenomenon. I want to frame this. It's so beautiful.
It is so beautiful. Next are some athletes celebrating the less than athletic dad bod. Minor league teams sported jerseys with a dad bod design
so
featuring
hairy,
a furry back and everything.
Some dads don't have that much hair, but okay.
Okay.
And here's a detective in Australia giving an interview when he senses trouble and leaps into action, tackling a suspect on camera. You see him running over there, and then bam! Takes him out at the knees.
Looks like he's done that a time.
The man
or two
apparently
before.
had allegedly made some lewd comments to a man's daughter. The man chases after him. The detective hears,
says, "Not today."
And now he's been drafted into the NFL.
Congratulations.
Not really.
Next to a new world record, at least that's what one Arizona man is claiming after he built this giant pyramid made out of pennies, over 1 million of them. It's worth over $10,000. Made 46 YouTube videos of the progress. 65 stacks by 65 stacks by 65 stacks, each with 11 pennies. Whoa.
Lots of pyramid there. Mm-hmm. And here's a little pup with legs too short to reach the ground as he's stuck in a door frame. Somebody help him out.
Poor Pooch.
Help the puppy out.
Poor Pooch.
And speaking of cute puppies, how about this little chunky dog? Had some trouble getting through a pet door.
That's not made for him.
It's actually made for the kitties. Cat door.
But he was determined.
Chubby little. There he, hey!
There he goes.
He got through.
Good
Pretty
job.
cool. Well, moving on, a new gun law is set to take effect in California on July 1st. Gun owners who want to buy ammunition will have to show ID and undergo a background check.
But as the deadline nears, gun stores are reportedly seeing ammo sales skyrocket, raising concerns for gun control advocates and business owners alike. Rob McMillan of our LA affiliate has that story.
At Warrior One Guns and Ammo in Riverside, the owner says these shelves would typically be filled with ammunition. Not lately, though. With background checks on ammo purchases right around the corner, bullets are flying off the shelves.
Oh, heck yes.
Steve Cimbera was here to buy ammo today.
So much is just, out of stock. So you kind of limited now on what you can buy.
Customers are purchasing because they don't want a deal. I'm going to be dead honest with you with this BS.
Norris Sweden is the owner of this store, and he wonders if people are denied, what's to stop them from buying ammo elsewhere?
What is entirely going to happen from you going to cross state lines and picking it up from somewhere else?
Sweden got this notice from the State Department of Justice a couple of weeks ago. It says he's going to have a laptop, a printer, a stripe reader, which he has, and starting July 1st, he'll have full access to the system. But how it's going to work, doesn't say. Sean Brady is an attorney for the California Rifle and Pistol Association.
After all the gun control laws that California residents have to comply with, go through a background check to acquire a firearm, wait 10 days to pick up that firearm, pay $50 in fees for the background check and the tests that they have to pass in order to get it, now they have to go through the additional hoop of acquiring their ammo in a way that's almost as intrusive, if not more so, than a firearm.
We reached out to the State Department of Justice for clarification, but so far we have not heard back. What we can tell you is folks who want to buy ammo are going to have to provide information. That information will be sent electronically to a state database, and the person will have to pay a fee of up to $1. But what happens then? What happens if they're denied? We still don't know. In Riverside, Rob McMillan, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Our thanks to Rob there. And coming up, a court case being watched across the country.
Should the parents of a suspected school shooter be held accountable? More after this.
Here's what to watch out for today. President Trump meets with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau at the White House. And Speaker Nancy Pelosi is expected to make good on a bet she made with Trudeau over the NBA Finals after the Toronto Raptors brought Canada the nation's first ever championship.
Former Alabama Judge Roy Moore is set to announce whether he'll run for Senate again in 2020. Moore lost a special election to Doug Jones in 2017 after multiple women came forward accusing Moore of sexual misconduct when they were underage.
The NBA draft begins tonight, and Duke star Zion Williamson is projected to be the #1 overall pick for the New Orleans Pelicans. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern on ESPN. And the World Cup continues as the U.S. women's soccer team takes on Sweden today. The U.S. is looking for revenge after Sweden knocked them out of the 2016 Olympics in a penalty shootout.
Plus, don't forget to tune into the debrief for an update on all our top stories and the briefing room for a breakdown of the latest headlines in politics. Now to a case being called unprecedented. A teenager's parents are being charged because of their son's alleged role in a school shooting incident.
Authorities say the teen's parents knew he had a history of mental health problems and left an unsecured gun in their house. This morning, these parents in New Mexico are facing jail time after police say their son caused panic at his high school. In February, SWAT teams swarmed the school's hallways near Albuquerque as students filed out with their hands in the air. Police say 16-year-old Joshua Owen brought a gun into the building and opened fire without hitting anyone. Owen's parents, seen here standing behind him in court, are now charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor.
This is a real sort of a new phase in terms of trying to get proactive tools to deal with school shootings. We haven't really seen this before.
According to court documents, a resource officer warned Dale and Tamara Owen that their son made past threats about shooting up the school. The parents were aware of Joshua's past struggle with mental health, and they allegedly denied having a firearm in the home. But investigators insist Joshua used a gun that was in his parents' bedroom closet, not locked up. 15 states currently have laws allowing gun owners to be charged if their weapons are not locked away, but New Mexico is not one of them. Legal experts call this case unprecedented, while expressing doubts about the strength of the case.
Because in this case, they're charging the parents with not being able, essentially, to be able to predict the future. They don't indicate that the parents did anything or that they actually had any knowledge, and that's where it could run into some problems.
The accused gunman's parents have not entered a plea. They could face 18 months in prison if convicted. Prosecuting parents in cases like this is rare. The Washington Post says that since 1999, only 4 adults have been charged with failing to secure guns used in school shootings.
Finally from us this Thursday morning, a woman who's proving the old motto, better late than never, and she's doing it one step and one medal at a time.
The 103-year-old has been competing at a track and field event in Albuquerque. Here's our David Muir.
We first introduced you to Julia Hawkins when she became the oldest woman to compete in the USA Track and Field Championships at 102, setting the world record in the 60-meter dash, 24.79 seconds. Julia graduated from LSU in 1938. She didn't even start running until she was 100.
At 100, I started running. I thought it'd be neat to run at 100 and do the 100-yard dash.
So quick, they call her Hurricane Hawkins.
The hurricane is in the house.
And Hurricane Hawkins is back at it, breaking another record this week, running the 50-meter dash in 21.05 seconds. And by the way, she's now 103, and she's checking in with us.
Hi, David. It's been wonderful to be here racing, and I'm glad I won 2 gold medals. It's awe-inspiring to me to be able to do this.
Julia, it is awe-inspiring to us, too. What is her advice for others?
Realize you can still be doing it at this kind of an age.
Our thanks to David. Hurricane Hawkins is impressive.
Yes.
And I say keep on running.
Absolutely. The fact that she started when she was 100 definitely shows you it's never too late.
Well, that is it for us this morning. We hope you have a great day. We are so close to Friday.
So close.